Test, test, test. Good morning. Welcome to today's RC Coffee Chat. Now, you'll immediately notice, and I'd like to apologise, my voice is absolutely shot, and I'll probably end up having to blow my nose in a minute as well. I am suffering quite badly. So today's RC Coffee Chat is going to be quite a short one in the scheme of things compared to some of the others. So a very good morning to you. In today's topics, we have a mini race wing, and I'm doing that because she sat right next to me. In fact, there's a quick sneak preview. She does look super cool, and we'll be having a little quick overview on the build on that one in a few moments' time. Topic number 2 is I didn't do it. You'll find out what that is in a few moments' time. Topic number 3, and it's that we only got 3 topics today, is Drone Safety Canada. And we'll be looking at in a few moments' time. So let me just move across to the chat. Sound is good. Thank you, Philip, as well. I really appreciate that, and Lee too. And those of you which are on the live chat, when we first start, if you can let me know you can hear me all right, that's always appreciated. So let's go into topic number 1, and then we'll move into shout out corner in a few moments' time. I've got it up on my screen, and I've got it here. So in fact, let's pause for a moment. And so this one arrived yesterday, and I tried out YouTube Live on the iPad, which actually turned out to be pretty damn good, to be honest. I was genuinely surprised on that, so I may be doing more stuff like that in the future when other models turn up as and when. But there she is. You will see that she's nice and shiny because I've been and laminated her. The bottom, whoa, landed. The bottom is it's basically a mirror image of the top, and yes, I know the laminate didn't stick very well in the middle, but I did try my best, and I will put the iron over it later. Now, what have I got here in my notes for that wing? So number 1, let's face it, right? It's $40, which, to be honest, to me, feels kind of a bit of expensive for what it is. But on the other hand, is that's one of the things which I like about doing on this YouTube channel, is that let's go and buy it and we'll see if it's any good. Now, as you know, I'll hold off final judgment until it actually goes and flies, and we'll be talking about the setup in just a moment, but that is the approach which I like to take. I would rather buy something like this, and then we'll see if it really is worth $40. And the thing is the piece which I keep in the back of my mind is that you can actually buy a WingWing Z-84 for cheaper. And as we know, the WingWing Z-84 is like one of the best models ever, and I mean ever made. It's right up there. It's if it's not in the top 10, it's in the top 5 models ever made for us as RC pilots. So that's the bit which I'm keeping in the back of my head. But I know it's part of the paint scheme, but it does kind of remind me of that mini race wing which went out on Kickstarter a short while ago. And I know it doesn't have the carbon fibre fuse, but the wing cord on it is absolutely tiny. And again, apologies, you won't see it. I've got some photographs of it which I'll share with you in a moment. But the wing cord is very, very thin, so it's not going to hit like a speed barrier too early. And we'll get onto the setup actually. And before we get to the setup, I do have some photos because I want to share this with you. And again, I know many of you have probably already been on and seen the unboxing video which I did yesterday. So let's have a quick look. So number 1, it turned up and it was extremely well packaged, and I genuinely mean that. And I was also surprised, let's get this on the main screen, is that I was also surprised, and I might have to blow my nose in a moment, I was also surprised by how well packed it was. And a nice little touch which they did, they actually included the top of the wing beds as well from where it had been cut. And you have to excuse me away. Excuse me, and good morning to everybody who's on the live chat. We will get to shout out corner in just a moment. You're going to have to excuse me. Like I said, I am suffering this morning. So coming back to the box, I was really surprised. It was all well packed in there. Everything which I needed was in there, obviously minus electronics. And I'm really glad that they did include the other pieces of foam. The reason being is that I was a bit worried about the nose, and you'll see that in a moment. So let me have a quick... sorry, the images keep popping up on the wrong screen. I was a bit worried about this area here. I don't know if you can see that. It was a little bit lacking of foam. on the nose area, and that also did concern me because this whole battery bay area looked extremely weak, as in one bad landing and it would be foam snow kind of territory. So I was a little bit concerned about that. Now keep that concern in the back of your head for a moment. There's a side profile, so you can see it's a really, really thin wing cord on it. I was genuinely surprised on how thin it was. Oh, a nice little touch. And actually, in the unboxing video, I got it wrong. I put the shorter pieces of carbon rod along the top when it was supplied with some carbon strip, which go all the way along the top. And they did cut out the trenches. The same for the hole which goes all the way. And again, you're not going to see it. You're going to have to take my word for it. Oh, well, actually, you will see it. See that line just there? That's a carbon tube which goes all the way through there. And I did actually like the construction because the carbon tube, the main spar, actually goes through the motor mount on the top. Let me turn it around that way so you can see it. I did think that was a really, really nice design feature. So there's a lot of things which I like about this. The main thing which I don't like is the price, to be brutally honest. And if I turn it around, yeah, there we go. We can see the wingtip. You can see it's really, really thin on the wingtip. And again, we can see that being that trench for the top carbon strip coming through. What you can't really see, no, you can't see it for toffee on there, is that there was also a trench cut out, a round trench cut out for some supporting carbon in the elevon as well, which you can just about make out on the web camera. And again, pretty well thought out. The same for the servo bays. And again, the servo bays were cut out, they were pre-cut out, and they were actually made for 9-gram servos. And I've put some of the Tower Pro MG90S servos in there. As you expected, they're my favourite ESC servos. Now, with that in mind, with the big hole in the middle, is that I did put a bit of carbon in there. Now, I glued in the carbon, the supply carbon on the top into the elevons and the main spar in. But then what I then did is that I just got a couple of pieces of carbon rod, which is super cheap off Banggood, like £3, something like that, for 5 pieces. And what I did was I got a ruler and a blowtorch and a bit of push rod. And then heated up the push rod and then just ran it all the way down across the ruler. And then that made, because the push rod was round, that made like a little bed or a little trench for the carbon spars to sit in. And as you can see that I have kind of put far too much carbon in the bottom, which is now made it, wedding tackle grade, I think, as I announced it on Facebook. So it should be able to last more than one landing. Now, it did hit paint pretty quickly. Again, my goal yesterday, well, my challenge yesterday was try and build it in a day, and I was trying to work, and then when some scripts were running, I'd run off and then do a little bit on it, and then I'd come back. And the missus helped out as well for a short while. So that was happy days. And again, it went on to paint. I didn't do anything complicated with the paint. I just used some masking tape and then laid it out, as you can see on the screen. Gave it 2 coats with just acrylic-based spray paint, which most spray paints are now. So no special paint used. It was just a can of red, which we had here. And there was one little tricky bit, which I've got it here on the radiator. And I'll explain what that is that on the bottom it did come with 2 supplied pieces of plastic, as you can kind of make out there, and I had some issues with it gluing to the front edge, and so I put some pliers on it. Again, the handy that they included a bit of foam to do that, and I ended up having the glue stuck because I scuffed it up really well. Once the glue stuck, I just got a craft knife and trimmed off the excess around the nose, and that has worked out really, really well. That has, again, the combination of the carbon fibre which I put in there and the amount of glue and that plastic plate really did stiffen it up. But yeah, I wouldn't just put the piece of plastic on the bottom. Again, I'm thinking them like matte flying. And also, I don't even think you noticed, or I didn't point out, is that on the previous image, I also put carbon strips all the way along the leading edges. So if it does take a nose-in impact, and let me zoom in there a second, if it does take a nose-in, is that it will spread the load out across the wing instead of straight forwards. And I also was a bit concerned about the weakness on the nose. So again, really chuffed that they included the wing cords, or 2 of the wing beds, and I cut out and made a little booster piece, which you can just about make out there. That's the extra piece which I made for the nose. And then this morning, did a quick bit of soldering. I am keeping this one extremely light. I've got a little BH heli, little quad ESC, which, to be honest, I'm going to be surprised if that one lasts a week with my flying. But it's a little 20 amp ESC. I've soldered up the motor straight onto the pads, and again, trying to keep the model as color coordinated as possible. I've gone with some red heat shrink for it. That ESC does not come with a BEC, so I'm having to run a separate BEC, little 5-volt BEC. That's also handy because what I'm going to be doing on this one, which is something which I need to get done later today, is that I'm going to be running, and again, I can't remember which one it is. I've either got the TX02 or the TX03 all-in-one FPV camera, which I'll be mounting on the nose up here. Now that little camera needs 5 volts, so over on the workbench in a minute, I will be hijacking the 5-volt line, putting a little Lozzie connector on there, you know, the little tiny 1S connectors, and then sorting out the FPV camera to go on the nose. Now, as far as CG goes, we are not far off. I do think, and again, I've got a hunch on this one. I've measured, it didn't come with a manual, but I just measured out the coordinates and put it into the C of G calculator for flying wings. And I've got some pins on the bottom, which I don't know if you can see. They are just there, and that's the C of G for it. So I do think I might need to add a little bit of weight in there, or I need to trim out a bit of that foam so I can bring the battery forwards. As far as setup, D4R2, which I've got mounted here. Now I have, again, just with the blowtorch and a bit of push rod, just melted that in there so that goes reversed back in there. The antennas I will drag out onto either wing. Again, it's a bit awkward, the ESC's there, but I'll drag those out onto either wing. The ESC, I'll just glue down here at the back. And again, you really can't see that very well, apologies. There, I'll glue that in there so it's tucked up there out the way, and it also gets a bit of decent airflow. Tower Pro MG90 service, like I said, the little TX02 or TX03 camera on the nose. And then, as far as battery goes, shock horror. Now, I know some of you are going to scream, pussy, why are you going to be running this one on 2S? Well, the thing is that I've got over 10 of these. I think I've actually got like 12 of them from the Bonsai wings, and I haven't really been flying the Bonsai lately, so all of these have just been sat with storage charges on. So I'm actually trying to set this one up purely for 2S, and the reason being, it's got like a dozen of those packs. So how much flight time am I going to get out of this? 7, 10 minutes? And if I've got a dozen packs, that's a lot of fun. And again, I've been purposely doing my best to keep this one light, hence the much smaller ESC, hence not using like a 30 amp ESC or one of the other ones. And again, I could have put one of the Turnigy 18 amp ESCs in here, which did have a back in there, but again, I'm trying to save a few grams on what I'm doing. So that's the setup which I'm going for. I will be running it on 2S. That said, because that ESC is 20 amp ESC, and I am using the Emax 1806 2280 kV motor on the back, I do know that I can also run this on 3S as well. So if for example I run out of 2S packs, I know that I can also run it on 3S. So that's the setup which I've gone for. Oh, they did include some Depron winglets. Let's spit my words out. I didn't really like them. I had some really thin core flute here, so I just kind of copied their design and tweaked it a bit, and I've made up my own winglets, which I've glued on this morning with some goop glue in there. And yes, Andy, I do apologize. Yes, sorry, let me spit my words out. Like I said, I'm not 100% this morning. Yes, I have gone for red, which we all know is the fastest colour. So that's added at least 10 miles per hour to her flying speed by using red as the primary colour on there. And again, I've tried to colour coordinate this one as well, hence the red bit of film on there. And yeah, you know how it is. If you're going to spend some time on a model, you might as well do a little bit extra on it. So let me just go back and check my notes a moment. Yeah, it reminds me of the race wing, which I saw on Kickstarter, or we saw on Kickstarter a short while ago. I know it's not like for like, but now I've painted it red, it does kind of remind me like that. My note over 2S, I've got plenty of 2S packs. I can run 3S if I want to. and I just want something to chuck around, which is simple to carry, super light, and is built for FPV and some speed. Not obviously, it's not going to be mental speed, but also some efficiency as well by keeping it light, smaller battery, longer flight time. In my world, that's got to be classed as happy days. Yeah, and again, in my notes here, if I can get 7 to 10 minutes worth of flight time out of this, I am going to be super happy. And I've actually written on there, for me, that is going to be happy days. I even put the little quotes in there. But also, there's me getting really excited about this one. I also have to keep in the back of my mind, a WingWing Z-84 is cheaper than this and also a lot less bloody hassle. So I like it a lot, but it's different to, say, a WingWing Z-84. That's the model which I'm comparing to it, which may be a fair, may not be a fair comparison. I'll leave you to think about that. They are two very different types. Well, they're both flying wings, okay? And the marker which I'm using at the moment is this wing I'm just using price as the marker. This model is more expensive than a WingWing Z-84. If I was in your shoes and you've not had a flying wing before and you've got some experience with flying IC models, then personally speaking, I would suggest go and get yourself a WingWing Z-84. They're brilliant. You can underpower them, you can overpower them. They're just all-round fantastic models. However, for me, I wanted something which was a little bit more, maybe a little bit more sporty looking. So I've gone for this one, and I can tell you I am super chuffed with it. I did that in a day. And I was trying to work at the same time, you know. Like I said, I was just chipping away on it. It took laminate really easily. I didn't put any spray on it beforehand, and it stuck to the foam really well. I did go back over it on it with a really high heat as well. So, yeah, I kind of like it. What do you think of it? Let me know in the live chat. Of course, if you are watching this, the recorded version of this, let me know what you think of that wing in the comments section underneath this video. I'd really like to see what you think of this, because I'm using price as a reference, as in that it's $40 and you could buy a WingWing for less. What do you think? Is that a fair comparison? Am I comparing chalk and cheese? I don't know. Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Yeah, Andy says, and now for the money, Z-84. Yeah, honestly, a Z-84 is a fantastic model. But this one is obviously bigger wingspan, slightly different purpose. You know, I don't know. RC Aviation's just popped a question in the live chat. What's your favourite brand of LiPo? To be honest, I really do like the Turnigy A-Spec batteries, the 1300 specifically. I have absolutely abused those batteries too many times, and even my original ones, which I've had here, which is almost a year now, have been absolutely fantastic. As far as batteries go, these little zippy ones, if you've got anything which runs 2S, these are bloody fantastic. Let me put my hand behind it so it actually focuses. Little zippy compact. They are like £3, or I was buying them for £3 or less off Hobby King. Super cheap. That's probably why I got a dozen of them, you know, because they were so cheap, and every time I put an order in, I put another 2 in, you know, because I was having so much fun with the bonsai wings on 2S. So yeah, I like the little zippy for 2S, but the bigger packs are the big 5200 4S. So let me grab one a second. For the bigger models, I'm running those. Put my hand behind it so it focuses. The big multi-star packs, the 5200 4S 10C packs, which those things can, and it's 4S, and it can dish out 52 amps. So, and it actually, to be honest, it dishes out more. For example, I use it in the mini drac, and I give it an absolute spanking in the mini drac, and I haven't puffed one yet. So, yeah, it's crazy. Let's have a quick look on there. Have you seen today's Hobby King sale? Brad, I haven't. Can you please put a link in? And that's also bad news because I put an order in yesterday. Damn it. It springs to mind. RC Aviation, nice. Those are the ones I use. Happy days. Right. Yeah, and thank you, Go2499 as well. I appreciate it. So I tell you what, let's move across to Shout Out Corner. my favourite section of the morning. Now, apologies if I've missed any of your chat here this morning. I didn't realise I've been chatting for 20 minutes about that little wing. As you can tell, I'm kind of excited about that wing. So, like I said, this is my favourite section of the RC Coffee Chats. This is where I can say good morning to you. So, a very good morning to Brian, good morning to Lee. Good morning, Peter, as well, with his new Tyrannus. And yes, Peter, the Tyrannus is a bit scary to begin with. Once you got past that learning curve, you'll be able to do anything you want with it, I'm sure. Go 2499, very good morning. Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Riff. Good morning, Lawrence. Good morning, Kev. Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Tom. Good morning, Philip. Carlin, good morning. Austin, good morning. Jim, good morning. RC Aviation, good morning. Not really me, good morning. Nick, good morning. Fat Ass Bloke, good morning. Good morning, Andy. Odie Backer, good morning. Scrolling down, if I missed anybody, apologies if I have missed your name, but a very, very good morning to you. So that was topic number 1, believe it or not, and like I said, I'm kind of excited about that one. That's why I just talked about it for 21 minutes, you know. I like it, but I keep doing the comparison back to the Z-84, and I might be comparing chalk and cheese, but hey ho. It's going to be good fun. Well, let's hope it's going to be good fun anyway. Topic number 2 is that I didn't do it. Now, I'm sure many of you already know, for the last week or more, probably longer actually, every week I go in and check in on the Sbach 342, which has been on Hobby King for a very long time now. I put an order in yesterday with Hobby King. We'll take a quick look at that order, which should be turning up later this morning. But I actually decided against it. Now, I did write a list of reasons why I didn't do it. The first one is that it just wouldn't last in the farmer's field where we normally fly. That landing gear, just no, it's just not going to last. It's not really designed for FPV as well, which, as many of you know, I'm a big FPV fan. And storing it is frankly going to be a cock. There's no other words to put it, because it's got fuselage and big wings, so it's a pain in the ass. It's not something like the little wing here, which I can just set on the shelf, and I can have a collection of other wings sat on the same shelf. Yeah. So, and to be honest, the other one is because I've done my research so well on it, I know that the last time that went on sale, it went on sale for about 55 quidish, which is like a 30 quid difference to the current price on the Sbach. So maybe that's holding me back. So anyway, I didn't do it, but I did put an order in yesterday with Hobby King, and I'm going to quickly run down some of the items which I bought yesterday, just in case you're interested. I bought a new cowl for the EF Extra. As many, I don't know if you've seen it yet in the Facebook group. The cowl on my red EF Extra just came loose and then got chewed up by the spinner. Didn't make a pretty noise on the flight line, I can assure you, and there will be a video of that coming out in the near future. I did buy another 1600 mAh Turnigy 4S pack, the 1600 mAh one. The reason why I bought that is because that is the pack which fits in the WingWing Z-84. And again, I'm sure many of you already know, I've got a WingWing Z-84 which I can keep in the sky for 20 minutes or so, because I've set it up as being super light, mildly underpowered, shock horror, and I've also managed to cram an Eagle Tree Vector in there as well. Absolutely brilliant. There's nothing like quite light pottering around in the sky for 20 minutes plus, and one of my biggest, like my pain point with that model right now is that I've only got one battery which will fit in there, and I still haven't got round to soldering up the 18650 batteries to make some 18650 battery packs for it. I bought a spare carbon prop for the Tundra because I broke my last one doing inverted landings and takeoffs. It takes great skill, that. What else do I got? Bought some of those multi-tools. I really do rate these. The Turnigy, their little 18 amp. In fact, I'll tell you what, why don't I see if I can just find one so I can show you. Give me a second. There we go. For the smaller models, the ones which don't pull that many amps through the motor, those little things, super light, and have worked absolutely brilliantly well. So I bought 2 of those as spare. What else have I bought on there? Some Corona 939 metal grid servos. I bought 4 of those because I've run out. some HT 500 little micro, the little 5-gram servos. Bought some of those because I've used them in another model, which I haven't shared with you yet, but it's being used in another model here. And the last two, I've bought some 8045 props, and let's see if I can find this little motor. And the reason why I bought those props and that motor is because, get that little motor up, for the Sbach, which is sat over there, which I'm sure she's just there. You can see I haven't done any work on that. I've bought that for the Sbach. So we'll get that one glued up today and keep it light. A little 10 amp ESC in there, little 400 milliampere 2S pack, and I'll have something which I can chuck around at home in the mornings like it is now. Ironically, there's no wind out there right now, but give it about 2 hours and we're supposed to be up to about 18 mile an hour here in Bristolia. So I grabbed that little motor as well. So a collection of parts, but I didn't go on and purchase the Sbach. I'm afraid I didn't do it. So let's have a quick look on the chat, which is going on. Brutus says the Zippy Compact seem to puff very quickly. I use plenty of 1300 and they do not look good after a few flights. Sounds like someone's been ragging those hard. Yeah, I'm only using the 2S ones, so I'm not really hitting them that hard. Let's have a quick look. Something on sale for $129 US. I'll have to check my email. Apologies, Brad. I don't know which model that is. Let's have a quick look on the chat. Yes, Skyhawk, you are absolutely right. And by the way, good morning, the Skyhawk, and good morning, Brutus, and good morning, Thumbs FPV as well. Yes, you're absolutely right. A 2200 3S does fit in your WingWing Z-84. Unfortunately, it won't fit in mine. The reason why I've gone for the 1600 4S is because actually it's thinner. Not as so tall as the 3S packs which I've got, and plus it's 4S and I need that extra cell for the motor setup which I've got, because I've got a 1000 kV motor running a 6x4 prop, so it's grossly underpropped and it's been built for efficiency. However, if it was like a normal WingWing Z-84, then heck, screw it. I would have stuck like a D2826 2200 kV motor in it. 3S motor, like battery like that, would have been just kick-ass fun, you know? Absolutely brilliant. The Saka is on sale. Let's have a quick look. So I've just seen Brad's comment in there. No, what should we call it? Results for that one. Brad, I'll have a look in the emails. I'm sure Hobby King will have emailed out later this morning. And that leads us to the last topic for this morning, and I'm surprised my voice has lasted this long, is that Andre posted this yesterday. It's come out. That went down as Andre put in the chat yesterday. New flying rules for recreational drone users. So if your drone, which is a fucking quadcopter, that really pisses me off, that word. So if your quadcopter weighs more than 250 grams and up to 35 kilos, which is an adult. You can, so do not fly your drone higher than 90 meters above the ground, which is quite a hefty restriction. Excuse me, a restriction compared to, say, that in the UK. We're allowed up to 304.8 meters, which is 1,000 feet. Closer than 75 meters than buildings. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Closer than 9 kilometers from an aerodrome, which is actually the simple version. Actually, the height restrictions around an airport is actually a cone. So the further you get away, the higher which you can fly, and it's a cone. But most people just say keep a distance away. And 9 kilometers is actually quite a fair distance, which is 4 miles, something like that. Within controlled or restricted airspace. Airports, kind of makes sense. Military bases, things like that. Within 9 kilometers of a forest fire. Now, I was thinking about that one. That actually makes really, really good sense. As much as it would make fantastic footage, you may also have airplanes coming in to dump water on top of it, and that's the last thing they want, is a chunk of carbon fiber in the sky. Where you could interfere with police or first responders, so another at an accident site. At night or in the clouds is no longer allowed. which you're going to be really fucking lucky if it's 90 meters high. But at night is a bit of a concern. If you can keep if you can't keep it in sight at all times, if you are not within 500 meters of your drone, so they've set a limit of 500 meters, and your name, address, and telephone number need to be clearly marked on your drone as well. If you don't follow these rules, you could be charged up to 3,000 Canadian pesos. So that's some new rules which have come out in Canada. So yeah, sucks to be in Canada at the moment with those rules. By the way, apparently that's only for drones. There was no mention of RC model aircraft in there, and it depends what you class as a drone. To me, drones are quadcopters and not a military device known as a drone. I don't know. So, is that law or illegality? There is 120 meters high, just to keep it on. Yes, you're absolutely right there, Lee. I'm just reading your comment as well. So, yeah, you did notice the wording on there, recreational drone users. Okay, so there's one rule, and I'm pretty sure there has been, again, you'll have to bear with me, I'm not completely up on every single intricacy of all the different rules, but there are one set of rules which are for recreational users and a slightly amended set for business use. So maybe if you were using your models or something like that for surveying crops, for example, and that's obviously US based. I don't know what it is in Canada, to be brutally honest. So anyway, it's time for me to wrap up. Oh, good lad, Olin. Fiddling with a box of Drac. I take it that your mini Drac is being turned up. Happy days. Right, to recap the topics from today, mini Racewing. I'm really excited about this one. I kind of like it. I'm really happy with the paint scheme. I've kept it simple. I've painted it red, which we all know that's good for an extra 10 miles an hour speed on the top line. I really like it. I'm setting it up for very as light as I can make it sensibly, and it should be really, really good fun. And again, I will hold off final judgment until it flies. It could fly like a bag of poo, but we don't know yet because she's not ready. So I need to do a little bit of soldering on her today, and we had a full-blown overview for her. I do like it. If I'm honest, I do kind of like it. And remember, if you feel that maybe $40 for that model was a little bit dear, maybe comparing it to a WingWing, is that let me know in the comments. And of course, if you think it's cool, also let me know. I like I said, I do kind of like it. There was actually some thought put into that wing, so quite surprised. But yeah, like I said, kind of like it, to be honest. Topic number 2 is I didn't do it. I didn't actually buy the Sbach in the end. It's still 80 something quid if I just hit refresh page. Oh, it's gone to $106. Thank you, Hobby King. Didn't do it. Practical wise, again, I'd really like one of those, but to be honest, I think what it is because I've known it's gone on sale before, and I'm in no urgency for it. I think I'm just going to wait off until it goes on sale at some point in the future, and then we'll grab one. And then we also went through the order which I made yesterday, just accessories and like components which I bought off Hobby King. And again, that all kind of stemmed because I needed a cowl for the EF Extra because it chewed up the last one. And the last topic which we covered today, by the way, I'll put links to all these different things in the video description for you, was the drone rules which Andre had posted in the Facebook group. Yeah, very peculiar. Well, it is what it is, isn't it? So on that note, it is time for me to wrap up. And I'm just trying to keep apologies, I've not really kept up with the chat very well this morning. Thank you ever so much for joining me for today's RC Coffee Chat. I did say it was going to be a quick one, and we've been here chatting for 34 minutes, so it is what it is. And my voice has actually held out really well. So thank you ever so much for joining me for today's RC Coffee Chat. If you've enjoyed today's RC Coffee Chat, do me a favour, press the thumbs up icon underneath this video, as it all helps other people find these RC Coffee Chats. If you've got any comments, good, bad, or fucking ugly, let me know in the comments section underneath this video. And if it's your first time here, welcome. Don't forget to press the subscribe button underneath this video. And on that note, I'm off now. I'm going to go and make myself a fresh one. And I need to see if the code which I've got running on the other screen has been finished or not. So on that note, from myself, Matt, as always, cheerios!